Well, I always start with the line drawings, and I tend to prepare those on another sheet of paper, and then I'll transfer that onto my pastel paper. So I really like to start with a good, clean looking line where I've got all of the proportions figured out pretty close. And then the first thing I usually start with is the background. So I tend to block in large areas on the painting. Um, a lot of the time, I'm working basically from background to foreground and, really building things up as they appear within the composition. This is certainly the case with portraiture. I will nearly always work the whole background first, or I'll perhaps leave some things that are in the immediate foreground. So if it's a dog on a soft blanket, for example, maybe I leave the blanket until the very end, if it's right in the front of the picture. And then my basic method is to start with the darks. I always start with the darker tones that I can see. And to me, soft pastel feels very much like oil painting. It's very much the same process. It's actually partly why I refer to my work as paintings, because in my brain, I am painting. It's less to do with something that's wet or dry for me. It's more to do with, am I building things using line and shading, or am I blocking in big areas of color and, building things using shapes rather than lines? So for me, my method really, it rings true with painting more than with drawing. So for me, I use soft pastel very much how I would oil paint. It's like the same method. And from there, from the darks, I just try to then build up the main shapes that I can see. So I try not to get into too much detail to begin with. And I try to build up from the darks through into the midtones and I usually leave most of the highlights until a bit later in the process. So that's really it in its essence.